All right, welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be discussing Section 811. It's probably one of the hottest topics out of over three or 400 videos I've made. Each year we've been talking a little bit more progressively about what Section 811 is. So today I'm going to be providing links clearly because we want to talk about how the law was designed, okay, and give you the links so you can do research. Part of all of this, for those of you out there trying to get a housing, Section 8, housing authorities, dealing with HUD, is empowering yourself and understanding the true complexity of all of these programs, not just walking into a building and filling an application and hoping for the best. I've spent so much time and made so much content, and not just here on YouTube as one of the number one creators for Section 8, but also on Google. A lot of the videos I make rank very highly because there really isn't that much good information out there. So now, to start the video, it's a few things I want to let you guys know. This is a live video. As of right now, it is 4:30 p.m. Texas time. It is January 6th, the day after my birthday. And so in about an hour, this video will no longer be live. So if you're curious, if you're on the California coast, then probably it's about 2 o'clock. If you're in New York, it's around 5. So that helps you any. Now, beyond that, I'd tell you that I'm also the owner of Section8Consulting.com. I work with hundreds, if not thousands, of clients every year. I also work with over 200 landlords, closer to 250 at this point. And we helped and did casework for several hundred, closer to, I think, 1,000 people last year on casework. Okay. So I'm going to be providing those links as well as we get along in the video. And so I see we already got a few comments from our regulars. Letitia H., how are you doing? Welcome to the channel. Jasmine Victoria, hello, and welcome back again. Renee Gibbons, you appear to be a new client to our channel, so welcome. And Jasmine says, happy belated birthday. Well, thank you. A lot of you guys, I realize, don't get notifications when these videos are live. Best I can tell you is I try to do these when I'm in the mood, and that mood usually happens on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. Typically, it's going to be 11 o'clock Texas time in the morning, or it's going to be around 4 to 5 o'clock in the afternoon, Texas time, of course. All right, now that we got all that out the way, we're going to talk about this a little bit. So I've made some notations here. Now, I'm going to get into technicals first. I don't want you to leave the video because it's technical. It's important that you understand the technicalities first, and then I'll cover it in a more reasonable way where it's easier to wrap your mind around it. This will not be a video inclusive of landlords. That's a whole nother subject on Section 811. And so we're just going to cover those of you that are seeking out the program. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to be covering is U.S. Code. So this will be Title 42, the Public Health and Welfare Act, and some of the technicalities for the program. It was authorized, Section 811 of the National Affordable Housing Act of 1990, which is PI 101-625. And as an amendment to the Housing and Community Development Act of 1992, another PI 102-550, and the Rescission Act, PI 104 and 119. Going on from that, the American Home Ownership and Opportunity Act of 2000, and the Frank Melville Support Act of 2010. And that's PI 11-374. And the program regulations are in 24, so that'd be Title 24, CFR Part 891. Now, what I'm going to do is I'll put some links down there for you guys to read these titles and acts. And so you'll be able to learn a little bit more about it. And what I'm going to be providing a link to, rather than all this technical part, is going to be the HUD Handbook, which is your 4571.2. And that will give you everything, okay? Because a lot of you guys are just going off of all the steam on Google. Well, problem is Google is great about a lot of information. When it comes to dealing with housing authorities at HUD, I can assure you the articles that have been written on Google are a fantastic joke. Most of them are old, and a lot of these people that are authoring articles on Google, they're all copying each other, and they're doing it at such a point now that they're just copying and pasting irrelevant information. So practically all of it's useless. All right, that was a mouthful. Okay, so first up, what I'd like to do is give you a link to the actual title and act. That helps solves a lot of problems when you can sit there comfortably from your own home and just simply read what it is, So there we go. It's actually in the live chat. Now you can also find that live link in a description. Let's link you up with the second part of this. This is going to be the HUD Handbook 457.12. This is a lovely HUD guide. I often wonder if they like y'all having this. So here's the great part. It's got 28 28 PDFs in its appendix, and I think it gives you everything. Now that's a real answer. You see what I'm saying? There's a difference between people giving out bullshit tips and advice and then actually giving you what you need to understand that. And that's part of what I'm trying to do on YouTube is trying to push down all these garbage videos. Three tips and tricks to get a voucher is if this were some type of clown show. You guys need real information, if you're going to be successful in understanding how the system works. So I'm going to go ahead and post that link now so you can get the 28 appendixes. So now you pretty much, those two links right there, that's going to empower you. What you've been learning on Google and some of these other videos you've been watching, I can assure you that was a horrifying waste of your time. Okay. All right, moving on from that. So let's talk about what it really is. If you're the age of 18 and you are under 62, so let's say 18 to 61, what happens is there are three instances when Section 811 comes around, okay? A lot of you are under the belief that it is a physical voucher, okay? So as an example, and I like to show examples, albeit they're simple. Let's take a look at this as just being a voucher. You cannot walk into the housing authority. Excuse me, I would like to apply for the Section 811 voucher. That does not exist. Why does it not exist? Because it is a title and code. All right. Now, what happens is when you're 18 to 61 and you're disabled and you put that information in your application at the housing authority, you may then, one, if the housing authority owns the building, which then it would make it what? Project-based housing. You may go to the project-based housing building they own, and you may be granted a Section 811 program apartment, all right? Disability apartment, which usually is about 30% of the units are allocated for Section 811. We're going to talk about how to get it and apply and all that to it in a minute. I just want to explain these differences. Now, private landlords. So when the housing authority does not own the building and it's not project-based, then what it turns into is tenant-based housing. That is a landlord that is potentially participating in the LITCH program. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that as well. So it's a tax credit program. And they too may allocate a number of units, 20, 30%, as Section 8 program apartments if they meet the applicable rules. You then, when you go there, by virtue of your disability and the type of voucher you have, would only be considered for Section 811 units. All right. In addition to that, you have private landlords, again, that don't own an apartment complex and may just own an individual home. Well, then at that point, it doesn't really matter because why? It's just a single property. Now, that kind of helps you a little bit. So when it comes to, I see we got a few comments. So let me answer those real quick. David J., I'm on public. So David J. says in the live chat, I'm on public housing. How hard is it to switch to Section 8 so you can port it down the road? Well, there's two incremental steps, David, you would need to complete. One, since the subsidy that is paying for that particular unit, the money is connected to as a discount to that unit. When you move out, the money the money stays with the apartment, and the next person applies. So you would lose when you leave. But what you're asking is, how do you change it? Well, you would contact the local housing authority, and you would convert your tenant-based or project-based subsidy into a housing choice voucher. And at that point, if you've had a minimum of 12 months residency or been in the program for 12 months, you may then start your portability process. That's two separate processes, and it's going to take a bit of time, okay? But it's certainly achievable. I think that I've worked probably around 80 to 90 clients through that process last year. Renee Gibbons, welcome to the channel. How can I get in Maryland? How can I get housing in Maryland? I'm disabled, but need someone to live with me because of my epilepsy. But they take their income within mine, which isn't fair. It's just their take care of me. Well, Ms. Gibbons, to be frank with you, I don't know enough about your case. All I know is you live in Maryland and that you potentially have epilepsy, and I know nothing else. So you're asking me to give you a clear-cut answer on something that I cannot. Now, how do you find housing? Is pretty, that's pretty straightforward. Um, they have subsidy lists. Part of that, you can apply at the housing authority. They can provide a list. Or if you're looking for a more professional and a quicker route to this, then you can talk with a consultant like me or somebody else that knows how to navigate the system much quicker. I'm not trying to elude your question. I'm just saying that I think a lot of you guys ask what it seems to be a very simple question, but actually it's very complex without having all the details. Okay. All right. So let's moving back. We were talking about disability, and we're talking about that Section 811 program and its apartments participating, properties being participating in that, and they have the units available. Then we talk about some of the application and stuff like in relation to that, which I'll think in terms of as applications. Um, so after they're able to identify that you're the target population, so again, 18 to 61, and they're able to establish that you have a disability that they consider. Now, let's talk about the target populations of disabilities that they're truly considering for this. Target populations are people with disabilities living in institutions that may be suffering from a number of diagnoses, maybe in nursing facilities, immediate care facilities, persons with intellectual and developmental disabilities on spectrum, and so on. People with serious mental illness, individuals engaging in services but facing challenges due to housing instability. Stable, integral, and also affordable housing would enable, obviously these individuals to have an opportunity to fully engage in rehabilitation and treatment and greatly improve their prospects of realizing their full potential in the community. In other words, a lot of clever words from the housing authority, but the reality of it is it would make that house, 811 would provide wraparound support service. A lot of people think the Section 811 or the allocation of those units as being simply something that gives you a discount you're living there. Well, they also offer a number of wraparound services, and it's very inclusionary of Medicare, Medicaid for some of you that have that. It only requires one individual in the household being so, and it doesn't necessarily mean the individual needs to be 18. It means that somebody in a household, sometimes it does work out that children, maybe spectrum or other issues, could potentially utilize the Section 811 program apartment. Participation in the program, well, that's questionable across the board. So where do you find these? How do you get them? Look, there's only two ways, and it's not so much you walk into a housing authority. You must get a referral. Referrals are extremely important. So a lot of these referrals come because Section 811 is something that most landlords, when they apply to be able to utilize the program for 811 and are able to allocate those units, they go through a special process for that. Now, for participation by the state and the county, I guess the best and simplest way to say that if you're receiving mental health care at a county or a state hospital, mental health, or if you're receiving any other services, county or statewide, for developmental delay or other issues, not a private doctor, not private physicians, but where you actually have a case with the county, whether it's child protective services, council on aging, mental health, or MHMRA, and so on, those can make referrals. The same thing for those of you that are imminent or imminently homeless. There's a situation where a coordinator, which is called a housing coordinator, could potentially make the recommendation based on what their observation of you is, whether you're physically deteriorated or mentally. The old days of just walking into the housing authority, hey man, here's my application. I'd like to see about that Section 811. Don't work that way. You're going to have a referral, okay, guys? If you're just being freshly released from a mental health facility, you're inpatient, then that would be the job of the caseworker, counselor, social worker, or psychotherapist there to start that beginning process for you. Unfortunately, most of you are not apprised of that, and you end up walking out with nothing but your clothes in your hand. So that's why I always tell you guys, not everything that's available in the community of things is often made present and clear to you guys. So we'll talk about a few more questions you guys have here. Letitia H, I'm sorry. What is Section 811? Letitia, don't do that now. Look, we've been 15 minutes live in this video, Letitia. You're late. You got to hit that rewind button. Letitia H goes on to say, "Can I get a referral from my psychologist? If your psychologist is working for the county or the county hospital or county mental health and so on, then yes. If your psychologist is not connected in any way with a state or county office, then no. They can make a recommendation, but the recommendation would be that you need to go down and start receiving services with county and state to get the referral. Every county has a lot of services. They don't just have police departments, fire departments. You've got county hospitals and so on. So a lot of you guys got to take the worst off services. The thing about it is, that is a county office with county employees, whether they're a doctor or not. They're still working under jurisdiction of the county, right? And when they make a referral, direct referral to the housing authority in your city, which is also what? County employees. So a county to county referral is a very powerful thing. Again, that's how it works out. And there's other referrals you could be acquired through the housing authority if they see necessary that your case is part of their target population. So, all right. So I think we're going to wrap up that element of it. I think that you guys have a sufficient amount of information to understand the beginning process of what Section 811 is. It is the allocation of a unit, and it allows you the ability to go and lease an apartment, get wraparound services. You understand that you need a referral. As I suggested, there are 2 links in a live video now that you should read, and that's going to be the U.S. code for Title 24 on that, okay, 12 pages. And then you have a secondary link, and that will help you understand a little bit more. So Section 811 is not a complex thing. It's just that a lot of people approach it the wrong way. Good afternoon, Sheila Barry. How are you doing today? Welcome to the channel. All right. In other news, so I want to talk a little bit about something else since we kind of covered that, I think. Of course, if y'all have any questions about that, y'all can pose the questions. And also, I'm going to give you a few other links here real quick. Now, remember, when I give you guys links, these are not links to some guy in Russia with a website, okay? These are .govs. These are to the government. This is not to some shady, ridiculous site. I don't provide that kind of, crazy information. So what I'm going to do right now, and I'm going to give you 2 more links for those of you that are trying to get through this. Now, again, I am the owner of section8consultant.com. This is what I do. I work on cases for people. I help them with their housing and so on, and we do it under a contractual agreement, all right? I'm going to provide those 2 links. One is if you decide to see what the service is about. Number 2, if you decide to utilize me. I want to explain another thing to you guys. You do not have to pay anybody to do anything. You're always welcome to make 4,000 calls to the housing authority and figure out how to do it there if you want to. You can also sit on hold for an hour and call HUD and see what kind of answers you can get 3 minutes at a time. Or you can deal with somebody that's been in the industry 20 years. I'll let you guys learn the hard way about the housing authority and the condescending people that answer the phone and never give you a straight answer. I'll let you learn the hard way. And then I'll let you read through the ancient articles, the artifacts that I find on Google that do little more than make you chase your tail. And once you've done that for a good year and you're about an inch from under the bridge, give me a ring. That's the only way to teach people. Let you learn the hard way. For those of you who don't want to learn the hard way, I would suggest that you take a look at the information given there. But again, the free information's out there. But look how long it took me. Here we are, 20 years. Okay? It's not going to happen overnight. It's difficult, and I don't want to discourage anybody. So chip away at it, see how far you can get. Plus, I've made about 300 to 400 videos. So there's a whole constructive library here for you guys to help you get into just about every aspect. I think that my channel rivals even that of HUD because I have more videos than they do. And that's because I've been around a long time. So beyond that, so I've been talking about the variant and COVID and other things. Okay. So I don't want to glamorize that. I just want to tell you guys that, we have a lot of cases and we're well aware that these cases of people are not life-threatening for the most part. It's a much, much more watered-down version of things. People are not in the hospital as much. But the problem we have is We're over 1 million cases every single day. And so the consequence is not us discussing whether or not people are going to get COVID or wear masks. The consequence is the housing authority and the people that issue housing are closing. Okay. In other words, a lot of you guys on your hunt to find housing right now in January through March may find that most housing authorities no longer answer their phones. Now, for those of you who've been on it long enough, do you remember what happened in 2020? It hit the same time, did it? Actually hit March 2020, right? We got hammered. What ended up happening? Bunch of housing authorities closed, phones turned off, nobody returned his calls, and then we ended up with 40 million evictions around the nation. So whatever you guys are going to do out there is in relation to your housing and getting vouchers, Section 811, low income housing, subsidized housing, disabled housing, rapid rehousing, permanent supportive housing, Section 504, Section 202, and so on, Section 236. I would say that you guys should start immediately while we are on a new year. We have new federal funding, and not that many people are attempting to drain the system right now. By the time we reach summer, it's going to be a big problem because you have a combination of two things coming together. This big tidal wave of people getting sick, another tidal wave of scared businesses and owners wanting to close and shut down and different things. And then, of course, the housing authority having yet another excuse to keep their doors closed, not come to work, and not process one voucher. And so that's going to create a lot of havoc. I've already seen an immense spike in the number of clients that have been calling me out of great concern. They can't seem to reach anybody. So I'd just say that you should probably step on the gas if you're trying to do this, because it's going to get a little bit more difficult before it gets better. Okay. So I don't want anybody to be discouraged, but I'm just saying that if you think you're going to wait till this summer and you think you're the first person this summer that thought they were going to go get them a voucher while it's comfortable, easy, and sunshiny, you're wrong. You're going to be mixed in a massive crowd of people all wanting the same thing. So it'll be one voucher for every 20,000 people. Don't make that mistake. Okay. All right. So I'm taking a few more questions here. David J., how can I find the local housing authority for Greenwood, Indiana? So I'll give you a list of every housing authority in America. How about we do that? Give me 1 minute. I have to pull up the link here, guys. Looking. All right, so I'm going to link you up here right now. The next link coming out is going to be every known housing authority in America. I should help you out, okay? So with that list, you can contact any housing authority out there. Now, for those of you that are looking for housing authorities with the program that allows you to utilize your voucher in lieu of purchasing a home or against your mortgage, there's no running list. And don't ask me why the feds and the government and HUD and so on never comprised a big database for that. I certainly tried, but it keeps changing. So it's a fruitless effort, in my opinion. So, all right, guys. So I see there aren't any further questions, and I think that we're going to probably just wrap the video up. I don't really see any point in dragging it on. We didn't have as a great a turnout for this as I had hoped, but that's okay. People are busy. It's that time of the season. And maybe I just picked the wrong time of day. Who knows? All right, guys. So the next video will be in approximately 2 days, and I believe that'll be on a Thursday. I'm going to try to publish it around 11 a.m. Central Standard Time in Texas. All right. For now, I hope you enjoyed the information, and the links that we spoke about are in the description. You could further reach out to me by phone or email through those links for section8consulting.com if you have questions in relation to that, and I'll be happy to answer a few here and there. Okay. Thank you, and have a great night. Bye-bye.